County Assembly of Delegates Standing Committee on Finance will be conducted via remote means only in accordance with applicable law. Members of the public may watch the meeting through live real-time broadcast at www.youtube.com/user/Barnstable County. A public participation guide and meeting documents are available in advance at www.capecod.gov. The County of Barnstable does not discriminate in the administration of its programs or activities on the basis of race, color, religion, national origin, disability, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or other category protected by state and federal anti-discrimination laws and regulations. Reasonable accommodations for people with disabilities are available upon request. For more information or to file a complaint, please contact Justina Marchak, Barnstable County ADA Non-Discrimination Coordinator at jmarczak@capecod.gov. Call 508-375-6646 or visit www.capecod.gov. And on there, you would find the ways to get on the meeting. And I do see our chair with a camera on and a mic that's open. So I'm going to turn it over to him for the opening ceremonies. Are you okay there, Chair?
Thank you, Clerk. I did get online with the laptop.
All right.
Listen, the first thing we should do is call a moment of silence to honor our troops who have died in service to our country and all those serving our country in the armed forces. Thank you. Now could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Okay, as long as everyone can hear me. We're going to start with number 6, proposed ordinance 2026-07, fiscal year 2026 supplemental appropriation for the Barnstable County Aqua Fund in anticipation of renewed Massachusetts Clean Water Trust funding.
Chair,
don't you have to call the roll?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I didn't see that.
It's okay.
Oh, the roll call, yeah. It's a roll call, please.
I do see all of us are here, but let's do the formal thing.
Yeah, sorry. I went right by.
Delegate Frizel, or Deputy Speaker
Here.
Frizel. Delegate Gallagher.
Here.
Delegate O'Malley. I know, please, on the phone.
Here by phone only.
All right. And Vice Chair Killian
Here.
and Chair Oman.
Here.
You have a quorum. You also have 2 alternates should you need them. Delegate King and Delegate Filler are both here.
Excellent. That's great. And as you know, when I run this meeting, I would encourage the delegates, the alternates to weigh in when necessary and be glad to have you here. Thank you. Okay. So in order of sequence, do we have anybody for the administration that would like to talk about this? Because we've talked about it an awful lot. I do not, well, I should see who I can see.
Director Coppola is on the call, I believe.
I saw her. Yes, she's here.
Okay.
Yeah. Finance Director Coppola, please.
Good afternoon. I was just coming off of an email, so I may have missed your request, sir.
Oh, well, we just wanted an update or some factual data on the Aqua Fund, the ordinance 2026-27
Okay,
Aqua
sure.
Fund request for
I
$20
would be
million.
I'd be happy to provide that for you. Mr. Baumgartel, who runs that program, has put together an estimate of borrowings that would be needed for the future, based on information that he and his department has received from each of the communities, in which they've planned out a number of years in advance, the sewering and IAs, as well as replacement of Title V's, which we're still actively involved with. And that information has gone up to the Mass Clean Water Trust, along with sharing it with DEP. And the estimates over the next 2 years were that $20 million would be necessary to support the Aqua Fund program.
But
Um,
essentially, that's just a request for the 20 million. That has not been, the whole 20 million has not been promised to us. Is that correct?
we've not made the application as of today. We were waiting for a proper appropriation to be in place.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee. Miss Delegate Frizel, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So if I could ask just a couple of points here about this, because I'm new to the Aqua Fund. Last time it was approved, I wasn't a delegate. So how does this, if it at all, affect our bond rating to borrow $20 million? Because this is a county borrowing, right?
This is a county borrowing that's backed through the betterments that would be in place for the residents.
Yes, but does it affect our bond rating?
No, it does not. Well, I can't answer that today because I'm not one of the rating agencies, but it certainly is supported by liens on these properties, and it is not a general fund obligation.
Okay, and has it in the past, do you know, affected our bond rating the last time we did this?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, and it violates our financial policy, does it not? Our internal policy?
No, because it's not funded through the general fund.
So that policy only applies to the general fund.
Correct.
Okay, and have there been defaults on these? And if there are defaults, does the county end up, basically paying without collection? I know it could collect on liens, but the county is at risk if there's defaults, correct?
The county, so the betterments that are put in place stand before, if you will, a mortgage. So these are paid first.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no knowledge of any defaults.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Other questions from the board? Other questions from the alternates of the board? I think it's Delegate O'Malley. I just see a phone number.
He's muted.
Now-
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Delegate
good.
O'Malley?
Right. So my question is, when homeowners are repaying, where does that money go? That does not go back into the general fund. That goes into a separate, into the Aqua Fund directly. Is that correct?
You are correct. The principal goes into the Aqua Fund loan, special revenue fund, if you will. And the interest goes into the administration of the Aqua Fund, and that's to pay the salaries and benefits and other expenses of the program.
Now, I heard you tell in response to Delegate Frizel that there have been no defaults to your knowledge. Do you have an estimate of what kind of revenue that brought back into the fund? How much was repaid into the fund last year?
Last year. I can pull that information for you. It would just take me just a couple of minutes.
Okay, let the meeting go ahead and we can come back.
I see Deputy Speaker Frizel, please.
I have another question for the finance director. I don't want to, if she's in the process of checking something first, I'll let her finish that.
I'm happy to take your question.
Sure. So when I look at the budget book that just came out, and I look at the debt section, and I look at debt by type, I see something MCWT loan. So is that our water trust borrowing? Is that what that is?
So I believe I don't have the document in front of me, but I believe what you're looking at is, so there's different purposes that you would borrow from the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust, which is MCWT.
Right.
The county borrowed funds for the capping of a project over at the formal fire training facility. And that was through the Massachusetts Clean Water
Okay.
Trust at 0%. So
Oh,
that would
okay.
be part of the general fund debt. But the county has also historically borrowed from the same trust for Aquafund as well.
Okay. So when I look at the debt by type in the budget book, any borrowings done for the Aqua Fund don't even show up in the
Correct.
budget book.
That's
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
They are in the annual report, though.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Director Coppola, has the county looked at how big the Aqua Fund can get? Is there any danger that that $20 million will not be available or not be, consigned to us at some point in time in the future? They have enough money to do this. That's a big number, $20 million.
It is quite a large number, and in totality over the next 10 years, it's what we might call, and I'm not being casual. I don't mean to be casual, like chump change, right, if you will, considering all of the sewering that's going to happen
Right.
over the next 10 years. So we have had meetings with the trust to discuss what the county's needs are. They asked for an analysis, which, as I had mentioned, Mr. Baumgartner just completed that and I believe he has sent that already up to them for their review. I think, as you are aware, maybe aware, their federal funding for the state revolving loan funds was supported from the federal government level. So I mean, at this point in time, we know that the program supports the Aqua Fund loan program, and that, and they understand that the importance of that fund. Right now, the fund, just if you were not aware, the Aqua Fund program awards betterments, if you will, approves betterments, if you will, based on income levels. So they'll either borrow those funds or loan those funds out to homeowners at 0%, 2% interest rate, or 4% interest rate, depending on the income levels and the project itself. The State Revolving Loan Fund, or MCWT, if you will, they loan funds to Barnstable County at 0%. So if the county's lending out funds at 0% or 2% to homeowners, the revolving loan fund issues a borrowing to Barnstable County at 0%. So, and then for the residents that are receiving loans at 4%, the county borrows at 2%. That allows for the county to build up its administration fund to support that program.
Thank you. Other questions while we're waiting for the answer to Delegate O'Malley? I have one more, Director Copeland. I really appreciate your time because you really have a clarity that is so important to us on this side of the county government. I just want to know we appreciate that. Have most of the loans since we started this program with Brian Baumgartl and such, has most of it been 0% interest loans, or are there any 4% and very few 2%? How does that breakdown go so far in the progression of this program?
So historically, prior to the change, it used in the septic loan program where the name changed and it was, it had a new image, if you will. There were the county was loaning funds at 5%.
Right. But now that it's expanded into sewage, into the wastewater stream,
yes.
Have the loans been primarily zero interest and
No.
say just a little addition? But we do have some of those. I think $6 million already has been loaned out. Is that mostly at 0%, or do we have some 2 and 4%ers that are taking advantage of the programs?
Yes,
Where I was
many of
trying to
them
go.
are many of them are 4%.
Yeah? Wow.
Yes.
That's good for the county. All right, thank you. Any other questions? Oh, yes, I know I see Deputy Speaker Frizel, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So following up a little bit on what you just asked, it seemed to me, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, Finance Director, but most of this money is going out to assist people in making sewer connections, a lot more than's going out to assist people with septic repairs. Am I right or wrong about that?
I don't have that breakdown at my fingertips, but I can tell you that there's still quite a number of loans that are being awarded that are for your traditional septic. There are sewering hookups as well. But I don't know the breakdown. We can certainly get that for you.
It'd be just interesting to see that breakdown if you can get it to us at some point.
Sure.
Further questions from the Finance Committee and alternates? And I see that there are other members of the Assembly here. And I would be happy to take a question from anybody else that's on the Assembly while we're waiting for that one piece of information. Well, Director Coppola, do you think you'll have an answer for that for Delegate O'Malley, or should we just move on?
No, I was just looking it up right now. So I can provide that and just let you know with a hand raise. How's that?
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
How about this among the 5 members of the Finance Committee? Is there further discussion on this? And would we like to talk about some of the language perhaps of the ordinance? No? Oh, wait a minute. Now I do see Deputy Speaker Frizel. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to move approval, or rather recommendation to the Assembly to approve this borrowing as part of the fiscal 26 supplemental budget as set forth in the proposed ordinance. I do have a couple of language, not major, but some languages that issues that I would like to point out, and we could ask if acceptable to the committee, that the clerk would give us this new language redlined before the Assembly votes.
Good, thank you. Please proceed.
Okay, so in section 2, I would ask the clerk, in line 2, there's a reference to sections 4 through 12 of our ordinances 2025-03 and 04. And I would just ask the clerk to check that those are the right sections to incorporate here by reference, looking back at those ordinances. So I
There's a discrimination. There might be a different order, maybe
Yes,
5 through
right.
12 instead of 4
Right,
through 12, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
making sure that technically we're correct on those citations there.
Mr. Clerk, did you hear that?
I did hear that, and we'll make note of it. And I can double check with both the deputy speaker and the director of finance to make sure
But that wouldn't
we're-
change the
No.
vote on this,
No.
the
Well, no.
recommendation.
No.
That would just be a technical
No.
matter.
It's purely technical.
Thank you. And that you had at least 2 more?
Yeah, I've got a couple more. I mean, in the resolution now, in section 3, in paragraphs 1 and 2, in fact, 1 and 2, there's a mention of, or there's a use of the term applicant, capital A. It's not defined. So I would recommend we define applicant there, so it's clear. I believe it's intended to be the county. So we should make clear who the applicant we're referring to by that capital A, which suggests a It's a defined term.
That's good.
Um,
That is no major, that's no major change. It just,
No.
you want a refinement of that language.
Right. In the last
Very good,
change,
thank you.
recommend is in paragraph 2 of the resolution. There's a reference that the purpose of the loans, if awarded, shall be to fund construction. Well, I don't know if there's any construction mentioned anywhere else in this entire ordinance, so I don't know why we use the word construction there. It's to fund residential loan program activities. That's
Right.
what we're funding. So I would suggest we delete the word construction.
That would seem to me those three things would clean up the language pretty well without changing the demeanor or the purpose of the proposal in itself. So just cleaning up
Correct.
the language.
Correct.
Thank you. I need a second on this proposal. Do I have a second from anyone?
I'll second it. I'm happy to
second.
second it. I'm still waiting on an
Doc,
answer,
Doc,
but
I think I got this. See, you seconded. Now,
Yeah.
Director Coppola, further discussion.
Yes, the wording for the resolution is coming directly from Bond Council and the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust.
Oh,
So just to let you know that, we're gonna have to run any changes by them.
interesting. So that's not the county doing that documentation. That is the bond council.
Correct, Bond Council and the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust.
Thank you for that. That adds a little bit of intrigue to these proposals. So, Deputy Speaker Friesel, would you comment on that, please?
Yeah, I happen to know bond counsel. So I think county bond counsel is a law firm I used to be a partner at. So I think that we should run it by bond counsel to be sure.
Okay.
It may be some technicality I'm not aware of, but it just strikes me as those. I don't think bond counsel has anything to do with the first item, which is purely the ordinance, section 2, making sure the references are correct. I think it's purely the resolution and the word applicant and the word construction. So let's see.
So we'll stand by that as a recommendation.
Yeah.
To the full assembly. Okay, thank you. Further discussion from anyone of the 5 members of the Finance Committee? Oh, Director Coppola, please.
The information that you had requested prior to this conversation, there was repayment of principal of just under $3.3 million in 2025. And there was repayment of interest or payment of interest of $431,000.
Oh, that's great.
thank you. Can you tell me, am I audible at this point?
Yes, you are. We are recognized
Okay.
and audible.
Thank you. Can you tell me what the term of these loans is? Is there a standard term? Is it 10 years?
20 years is the standard term.
20 years. Thank you very
Yes.
much, Director Coppola. Okay, no further questions. Thank you very much.
So we have a motion on this and a second. Is there further discussion only among the 5 active members of the Finance Committee? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, I'll call for a vote.
All right, Mr. Chair. Deputy Speaker Friesel,
Yes.
Delegate Gallagher,
Yes.
Vice Chair Killian,
Yes.
Delegate O'Malley,
Yes,
and Chair Oman.
Yes.
That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Moving on. Last big thing that we've got going today is number 7, discussion on the review of fiscal year 2027 proposed operating budget by Assembly Standing Committees under the Cape Cod Regional Government Home Rule Charter, Section 5-5B. So it is our purview to delegate to all the other standing committees parts of the budget, the FY27 budget, that we think that they should be appropriate to handle. And our suggestion in general was to go with exactly what we did last year. and the clerk can identify that. Then we can have a discussion on whether we should change any of that or not. So with that being said, Mr. Clerk, do you have that that you can put on the screen?
I
Or do you
do.
want to
Give
just
me,
state it?
no, it's a lot to state. If you give me a minute and I will put it on screen. I believe I had it up earlier. My apologies. You guys are too efficient. You got here faster than I thought you would. So hold on.
Essentially, we have a past history. While he's looking this up, the finance committee in the past has had a way to break up these budget items, which we think are appropriate for each individual committee, and gives them some responsibility to vet that portion of the budget. And it's been helpful in the past, and we hope to continue it in some form. Mostly similar. We would like it mostly similar to what we've done in the past fiscal budget. So that's where we stand, and we can listen to, since we have several new members of the finance committee now, that we can listen to where we think those should go if anything is different. That's where I am. Doc, Delegate O'Malley, you still have your hand up?
I have my hand up. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
So yes, I would like to consider, and I'm a little bit handicapped at the moment. I've really lost internet access here, and so it has made it impossible for me to get back to looking at the budget in more detail. But under my committee, the Health and Human Services Committee, we have really three major responsibilities. That is the Health Department, which is a pretty sprawling operation.
It is.
We have Human Services, which has generally tended to be good, but which always faces issues around funding because they're very heavily grant dependent. And we have Children's Cove. Now, I don't know what is in store on the Children's Cove budget. I did not get to review it before I ran into being unable to access. But generally, that has been difficult, very time consuming. And I would like to have us consider the possibility of shifting review of that piece to the Public Services Committee. Because it is, in fact, a department. It's not like our departments. It's not a department that we have direct control over. In a sense, it's kind of like the dredge. It operates pretty independently. Our only role is really to approve the budget. So that, which to me puts it more into the public services, an operation that we support but don't entirely control. It would, I think, take some of the workload off the Health and Human Services Committee. That's my suggestion.
Well,
Did everybody see the list on the screen, or no? Yes.
No, I can't. Of course.
Well,
Yes, I
did
can.
everybody else see it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can see it.
So this
I see it.
this just represents what we did last year, and if you can see, their budget categories. And if I run afoul, maybe the director is still on, but there are budget categories in the budget. They're generally general government, right? Which last year finance took mostly, along with shared cost, and the Cape Cod Commission is more planning and development. There's a public safety component as well, because the Center for Public Safety Training, as well as the Human Rights Advisory Commission, is covered under the commissioner's office generally. You see with the telecommunications and energy did the information technology or IT budget last year, which is general government. Public services, which is the county services portion of the budget. Cooperative extension, AmeriCorps, because that's the director of cooperative extension also has some supervisory functions over AmeriCorps, facilities and registry, and then the dredge as well. And then under Health and Human Services is the Cove, Health and Environment and Human Services, which is classified in the budget as Health and Human Services, although as Delegate O'Malley said, that it's more of an agency than a department. It's a little bit different. And while the agency, like Cape Cod Commission, is under the supervision of the administrator, it does perform some law enforcement functions as well as some Health and Human Services functions. So these aren't neat categories, but this is certainly what we did last year. And so it might help to have this on the screen as you consider what you want to do for this year.
Good. That's exactly what I'd like to see. Thank you very much. I just saw Delegate Frizel's hand up. I'm sorry, Deputy Speaker Frizel's hand up.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm having a little trouble there with the hand raise. So following on from Delegate O'Malley's thought here, one idea, if we did switch Cove over to public service to potentially relieve public service of yet another item in the budget to review, would be to move the AmeriCorps over to natural resources. And the reason I'm even throwing the idea out is that I notice looking at the AmeriCorps budget, so much of it is environmental and dealing with natural resources, that it might be a budget that could be shifted to the Natural Resource Committee as one idea there. And the only other idea I was thinking of here too is, again, these are just thoughts. I'm not saying that it's at this point a motion by any means, just for discussion. Ourselves, that is the finance committee itself, has a fair amount of work to do. Not only do we review these budgets, we review every budget when we get these reports, but possibility of the Cape Cod Commission being either in economic affairs or natural resources as an alternative to us. Those are some other ideas, other thoughts, I guess, if we were to change things from last year.
Thank you for your comment. Delegate O'Malley, I see your hand is re-raised.
Yes, I think that suggestion is actually, I'm very in favor of moving AmeriCorps over to natural resources. That is a committee that really doesn't have an awful lot of work assigned to it, an awful lot of responsibility. And I know it's kind of frustrating to its chair. So I certainly would get behind that. That clearly the cooperative extension is, the AmeriCorps. Well, actually, both of those are very much in the natural resources realm. I think a case could be made for both of them.
Point taken.
Sorry?
I said point taken.
Yeah.
Further discussion from the members of the committee and actually the alternates as well. And at this point in time, I would appreciate anybody that wants to weigh in. No. All right. Well, Delegate King, please.
Yeah, I think Assemblyman Frizzell was a good suggestion of moving those two things out of there. I think it lowers the load on them. I noticed there's nothing in natural resources and there's nothing in economic affairs, and maybe they should be doing something.
Point taken. Further discussion. I can weigh in on this. Delegate O'Malley, your committee seems to only have three things, and those are two are important, two are negotiable, need work, and I think human services is pretty straightforward. It has been in the past, so, but and another bit of discussion. And I'll raise your hand. If you raise your hand, I'll call you. But another discussion is, I think that I really think the Cape Cod Commission belongs with the Finance Committee. I'm pretty staunch on that. But I'm only one person on the Finance Committee. Last vote we had, I was voted 4-1. So let's go for it. Did somebody have? Yes. Now I see Delegate King.
Sorry. Why do you feel that way?
Which?
Putting the Cape Cod Commission, staying it with finance. Why is that important versus moving it to economic affairs?
Why? It's tradition, number one, and it's something we've handled very well, number two. And I'd like to keep it right where it is. That's as simple as I can get. I think it's very appropriate for us to do, and it's a big year for them, so that's why. Deputy Speaker Frizzell.
I was going to ask the same question that Delegate King asked, so it's been asked and answered.
Just my opinion. Like I said, the last time we had a finance committee, I got voted 4-1 on the recommendation. So I'm always willing to listen to other thoughts. So it is our decision.
Do you have other thoughts on the other suggestions as well?
public services seems to have a lot going on. So the other suggestion of maybe cooperative extension and AmeriCorps going over, they're very tied together. They're very closely tied together. Those going to natural resources makes a lot of sense to me. And if those
And
two
then
get
adding-
removed, I
And
need to
moving the
raise
cove
somebody to
over.
raise a hand before they speak, please. So
Sorry.
I know who's speaking. Could
I don't know
anybody
if my
raise their
hand is
hand?
up or not.
It's not. I'll recognize you as such, Delegate O'Malley. You are recognized.
Thank you. I can't tell if my hand is up or not based on from this, but yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense. Moving the cove, moving the cooperative extension and AmeriCorps to natural resources. That's logical, and I think that would ease up some of the burden of if they could take on the cove. So
Any
that
other
would be
thoughts on
my
moving the cove?
that would be my alignment.
Thank you for that. Further discussion? Delegate Harder, I'll allow this. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think Children's Cove might be better because of the debates that have been had about the district attorney's office and things like that, whether they should contribute, whether the other towns should, that I'm wondering if Children's Cove shouldn't go to governmental affairs.
That's not one of the committees that review the budget as such. That's put an
Okay.
overall committee. So
All right, then
would,
economic affairs would be happy to take it on.
so you say economic affairs. The other suggestion was public service. So there's two suggestions.
Right.
I'm a fan of going to public service. I think that's very, very appropriate. Deputy Speaker Friesel, thank you.
I can't tell. Sorry, I can't tell exactly when my hand is raised. Yeah, I kind of like the Cove going over to public service too. I'm just curious from the chair of economic affairs, fortunate we have her here, what she thinks about the commission potentially going to her committee for review.
I think that would be fine. I think the commission, I mean, because Dean Oman is on that committee. So for me, that would be fine. I think we would have more time to spend on it because 9 times out of 10, the commission budget is peachy keen. It really doesn't need much at all because they're so good over there. But in today's environment, it might not be a bad idea for the commission to have its own meeting or half a meeting.
Thank you. You know, I can live with that actually myself. If so, but we'll have to continue our discussion, then have Owen kind of put everything where we think it should be and vote on it. But I'd rather have more discussion if necessary, if wanted. Okay. Deputy Speaker Friesel.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think we have to get rolling. We've lost a week. So I would like to think if we could vote in the committee today on the realignment so that we could let people know to get going. Yeah,
absolutely. I agree with that. That's why we're getting to this, but we have to get a vote of at least a majority of the 5 of us to move that forward. With some direction, we have to see what it looks like.
Yeah. I have a motion when you're ready.
I see Mr. Killian, the Delegate Killian from Sandwich, please.
You're muted.
You're muted, Jim.
So we did this last year in this fashion, and we're proposing to change it. I'm just wondering what precipitated the change. Is it a lack of efficiency, a lack of how the reports were given? What led us to this realignment?
I'm not going to be able to speak for everyone, but I think it's we're looking to update it and transition to more appropriate places and actually spread the wealth. You know, like every committee could take a little bit because we're running a week behind on the budget already. So if we spread this out a little bit more, it will maybe be a better product at the end by be involving more members of the assembly. Probably with all those committees, probably everyone in the assembly is going to be involved in some portion of the budget process now, without just their vote.
I seem to recall that before we changed it the last time around, the process that we had all the committees were involved in the review.
Right.
And I'm just wondering if did you look back to see how it was divided back then and how that worked, and what the rationale? And I agree. I mean, it seemed back then we spread everything around pretty evenly. And I'm just wondering how we get away from that and what we're getting back to.
I would classify that to different leadership styles, and we're in charge now. The finance committee is going to make this determination today. So let's talk about that too. But I like the idea of, especially with the shortened time structure with the big storm. What was it called? Hernando? I know we have to have names for them now, but you know, we're in a tighter budget schedules, and it's all going to come back to us anyway. Those committees will recommend to the finance committee what their results are. So we're still in the middle of this world, no matter what we do. So I kind of like spreading the workload. That
I concur.
Yeah, thank you. I know I see Delegate O'Malley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. In response to Delegate Killian's question, I sort of triggered this thing with my suggestion, and that comes out of the fact that last year the health department involved a very lengthy investigation. It involved the purchase of machines and added personnel. And that involved a pretty deep dive that you know, quite frankly, it took a lot of time on my part to track that down. This year, there are also added personnel in that budget that we're going to have to look into. You know, I expect a fairly lengthy review on the health department alone. Human services typically is not a big deal, but that more than anything has been time consuming. It's for that reason that you know, I would like to see if we could shed the cove from our review under Health and Human Services. That's what triggered the whole discussion from my perspective.
I got that. I'm trying to Owen, you're much better at this than I, but we have 4 changes, I think. Forgive me. Deputy Speaker Frizzell.
Well, I was going to make that motion if you're prepared for it, to move as we've discussed.
Sure.
And my motion would be to move Cove to Public Service from the Health Committee, and to move Cape Cod Commission to Economic Affairs from the Finance Committee, and to move the Cape Cod Extension and AmeriCorps from Public Service over to the Natural Resource Committee. So Cove would go to Public Service. Yeah.
I want to make sure we see, I think we have a motion on the table that would have to be rescinded for that reason.
I don't know if we have a motion so far. This is the first motion.
You did.
No, I didn't move anything till now. This is my,
Okay.
This is my motion.
If you say so. I thought you made a motion a while ago and it was seconded by Delegate O'Malley. But that was a different thing. Okay, got it.
That was for
okay.
the ordinance.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I will second
Okay.
this motion.
So did everyone understand that without looking back at the things? The Cove goes to Public Service, Cape Cod Commission goes to Economic Development, Extension Service, and AmeriCorps go to Natural Resources. Right? Is that the 4th? Is that accurate?
That's correct. That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Clerk Fletcher.
Has anybody given any thought to the Human Rights Advisory Commission and the Center for Public Safety Training? Just curious, because the administrator deals with those out of the commissioner's office, but they don't quite belong there. I was just wondering.
Again, those two?
Mm-hmm.
Which one? Say again, please.
Center for Public Safety Training and Human Rights Advisory Commission. Don't know
I'm
if
guessing
anybody's
that,
thought
yeah,
of it.
I see Delegate O'Malley's hand right now.
Thank you. Well, as obviously, I'm the liaison to the Human Rights Advisory Commission. I keep a pretty close eye on things there, and I would be happy to take that on. It's within the commissioner's office, so it's been kept there, but no good reason. And I quite frankly think it would make good sense to be under the Human Services, Health and Human Services, review. So I agree with that part of the thought.
And then now we have also the public safety training too. Deputy Speaker Frizzell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think if we were to move that public safety, I mean, first of all, I agree with Delegate O'Malley about Human Rights Commission.
Mhm.
But if we were to move public safety, wouldn't that go more properly into the Public Service Committee?
Yeah.
Which
Yes.
makes sense too. I mean, neither one of those are big budgets, so I don't think it's really adding a big burden to either committee to make those switches.
I like those. I like both of those ideas. I really do. It gives everybody a bite at the apple. Everybody gets a bite at the apple. So I like that too. But you have a motion. You want to amend that motion to those?
I will amend it. I will amend it to put the center of the Center for Public Safety into the Public Service Committee, and to put the Human Rights Commission into the Committee on Health and Human Services.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Now it's time for further discussion. Owen is correcting this and redlining it like he's Deputy Speaker Frizzell.
I'm trying to get something on the screen so that we can kind of see what we're all doing here. So I think I may have gotten it. I don't know.
Good. And I see Delegate O'Malley's hand is still up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm taking it down.
Okay. Further discussion. Take your time and read this, because I think that really does it. It shares the wealth of all of the process that we're going to go through. And again, every bit of it still comes back to the full Finance Committee for debate and recommendations. So, but this gets us moving very quickly. And
wait a minute. I think you need to change the Health and Human Services. You got to add.
Yep.
Okay.
I think I put it in the wrong place. But now I know. I think I see what you're saying.
We have a motion and a second, Elizabeth Delegate Harder. So I'm going to continue with this right now, and we'll have a discussion at some later point on this.
I didn't need a discussion. Was just pointing out that I thought something was in the wrong place, but he was fixing it.
Thank you. All right.
Can I ask something first?
Where are you?
Speaker? Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Why is Natural Resource Committee paren Health and Human Services? Why do we put that there?
Again, I'm working as you're.
Oh, okay.
I'm working as you.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's all take a deep breath and look at it and see if this is what we have decided to spread the word to.
That's why it's good to put it on the screen, so more eyes mean less mistakes.
Good.
And would it be possible for that to be read for those of us who are not on a screen?
Oh,
sure, I could do that. Do you mind, Mr. Chair?
Nope.
So right now it looks like we have for the Finance Committee, the Administration and Commissioner's Office, Assembly of Delegates, Finance, and then Salary Reserve, Miscellaneous, Fringe, and Debt. For Telecommunications and Energy, Information Technology. For Public Services, we've got Dredge, Facilities, Registry, Center for Public Safety Training, and Children's Cove. And for Health and Human Services, we have Health and Environment and Human Services and the Human Rights Advisory Commission. For Natural Resources, we've got Cooperative Extension and AmeriCorps. For Economic Affairs Committee, we've got Cape Cod Commission.
Wow.
So yeah, I think that's
exactly how I remembered it. So that's one person.
No, I concur, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion from the 5 members that are voting today? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, call the roll, please.
All right. Deputy Speaker Frizzell,
Yes.
Delegate Gallagher,
Yes.
Vice Chair Killian,
Yes.
Delegate O'Malley,
Yes.
Chair Omen.
Yes.
That's everybody, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Now the next question will be, how quickly can you disassemble this to all of the committees that are involved? I know most of them are already here. So,
Yeah, I mean, pretty quickly. I can write this up and get this out to
Yeah.
people tomorrow and start talking to chairs about when they can hold these meetings.
thank you for that. I can see that Delegate King has raised his hand.
Yeah, the question I have is, yeah, great, this is what we're going to do. Now, is there a directive that goes out to each of the committees about what exactly they're going to do? I mean, I'm new, so I have no idea what, oversee or go into it or whatever you're going to do is
Yeah.
doing. I don't know.
You got to go to that portion of the budget and discuss every line item that you think is appropriate to discuss. Come up with a recommendation. There's at least 3 of the members of the committee to recommend it to the finance committee, and we in turn will do that same due diligence and recommend to the full assembly to pass it.
So that notification, that what you just said in some
Yeah.
kind of formal memo is going to go out to all the committee chairs.
I'm sure our clerk can do that. I think
Well, I
it's
think
David
it's
Gura.
imperative that he does that and tell you the truth, because I think you need to give each of the committees direction, and we all need to be going in the same direction.
Thank you for that.
I think that's really, really important.
I think it's duly noted by our clerk. Further discussion? Seeing none. Mr. Clerk, call for adjournment. Roll call, please.
Can we get a motion in a second? I know you're chairing the meeting, but
Yeah, I
So
need a
moved.
motion.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
all right. Would you like a roll call, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Deputy Speaker Frizzell,
Yes.
Delegate Gallagher,
Yes.
Vice Chair Killian,
Yes.
Delegate O'Malley,
Yes.
Chair Omen.
Yes.
All right, we are adjourned, sir.
Thank you all for your valuable time. I think it was a very good meeting, and I really appreciate your valuable time in getting there. Now the real work begins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.